Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. Today I want to give you fun and unconventional ways on how to learn Spanish fast. So if you want to know, then definitely stay tuned for these tips. All right, without further ado, we're going to get straight into this video and I'm going to give you the first tip, which is pretty unconventional, but I have seen people learn Spanish and learn languages fast that way, and that is with memes. Memes is a very fun way, obviously, to learn languages. We all love memes in our own language too, so what better way to learn languages with memes? And I came across this very cool app that is Memo, where you can learn Spanish with memes. It is very easy to just go on your phone, look at the memes, laugh and understand the memes and learn like that, because the ultimate goal is to make learning Spanish, make learning languages in general fun. That's really the way learning languages is made easier and more successful. Let's get into this app. I'm going to show you guys how it works. It's pretty cool. So the first thing you do is choose your native language. You can choose between Russian, Spanish, or English. You can either learn English or you can learn Spanish. We're going to learn Spanish. So type on Spanish here and then continue. And then here you can choose your language level. So either elementary, intermediate, or advanced level. Here you can also choose what type of memes you're interested in. Like, there's so much choice here. So brain training, humor, travel, music. This one is funny. O me levanto temprano o me levanto amable. No puedo con todo. Either I get up early or I get up nice. I can't do both. You can listen to the Spanish audio.
O me levanto temprano o me levanto amable. No puedo con todo.
Here. So I would recommend you always repeating it and listen to it a couple of times. So the word here to learn is amable, which means nice, amable. So here you can click directly on amable and it will pronounce the word for you. Here another great feature is also actually saving the word. So every new word can be saved to a list of kind of like flashcards where you can always go over them and learn them. Other features of the app include learning about top slang phrases, irregular verbs, and much more. Here in this example, you have a very common Spanish slang phrase, which is estoy flipando. Flipar means to freak out. So estoy flipando, I'm freaking out. So here you can see the definition, you can see the phrase, and then here again, you can click on that word and again save it to the learning cards. This was my first tip, learning Spanish with something that is fun. It doesn't have to be something tedious where you have to study hours and hours, but something fun, lighthearted that you can do throughout the day. You know, look at them, laugh, and have fun while learning Spanish. So if you want to check out Memo, then definitely click on the link down below. All right, let's get to the next point. The next point is concentrating on one accent. Spanish is obviously a language that is spoken in multiple countries across multiple continents. So it's very important when you learn Spanish to focus first on one accent, because they can vary from countries, obviously also regional accents. When you have a direct relation to one Spanish speaker or Spanish speaking country, then it's obviously easier. Let's say, for example, you travel to Colombia, you want to learn Colombian Spanish, or to Mexico, whatever Spanish it is, really there is no right or wrong Spanish. There is no better Spanish than the other. Obviously, it's always the one that is more convenient to you and the one you have more access to. For example, I learned Spanish from Spain because here in Europe, you're mostly gonna learn Spanish from Spain. But in the States, for example, you're mostly gonna learn Latin American Spanish. That can vary from the European Spanish. Spanish is basically the second language in the States, so it makes much more sense to speak Latin American Spanish there. There are a lot of Dominicans in New York, like Cubans in Miami, so it makes more sense to learn that kind of Spanish. But for me here in Europe, it made more sense to learn European Spanish. However, I have friends that are Latin American too, so I expanded my Spanish. Now my accent is not merely European Spanish, but it's actually a fusion of many Spanishes because I have had contact with so many Spanish speakers. And that is the thing I want to stress, that it's not important what kind of accent at the end of the day you learn, but it's important that you focus on one in the beginning because it will make your learning process easier. That's the thing. But as you go along and as you become more fluent and more advanced in your Spanish, you can always, dive away and go into another direction. Maybe you find Argentinian Spanish more beautiful and you will learn that kind of Spanish. But in the beginning, I always recommend concentrating on one accent. And the third tip I want to give you is to not obsess over grammar. Don't obsess over learning everything at once. Don't obsess over overly speaking correct. It will come as you go along with Spanish learning. You will learn more and more. And I find it very important to tell people that the grammar is not the most important thing when learning languages. I've met so many people who learn languages without having had one language lesson at all, and they learn the language. It is possible. It's absolutely possible. When you stress on the grammar, what happens a lot of times is that you focus too much on grammar, that you forget the speaking part, and that's what we know of. Most people do. They know the grammar in and out, but they can't really speak or communicate that fluently or at all. So what I find most important, rather than focusing so much on grammar, is to just have the basics of grammar, and then from there you just move on. From there you just start talking to people, and the rest of the grammar will eventually come. As you move on speaking and learning more and more, the rest will always come little by little. You don't want to take in everything at once. So focus on basic grammar in the beginning. That's a very important tip. Número 4 is also very important. They're all important, obviously, but this one especially, because this one is immersion. Immerse yourself into Spanish. Basically, you want to learn Spanish, you gotta live the Spanish language as much as possible, as much as you can possibly do in your environment, wherever you are. It doesn't really matter where you are, but you have to put the Spanish language into your daily life, into your daily habits, what you're doing. I have a video on that, on habits, on making language learning a habit and how you can do so. It's not about studying, not at all, but immersing that language into your life. So whatever you do, do it in that language. That could be like TV shows, watching different shows, watching YouTube videos in different languages, in the Spanish language in this case. It could be going out looking for different activities that you enjoy, doing them in Spanish, doing them with Spanish speakers, going out meeting Spanish speakers, going on apps, looking for Spanish speakers, making Spanish speaking friends. All of these things are factors that play into the immersion. The more you try to immerse yourself into Spanish, the easier it will actually be to learn it, because it will be a part of your daily life, not something that you take lessons for 2 times a week for an hour and that's it. No, it has to be part of your daily life. It's super important that you always speak out loud what you hear. Whatever you hear in Spanish, speak it out loud, repeat it multiple times to get accustomed to saying the words, and especially for your mouth muscles to get accustomed to the different sounds, because obviously your tongue, everything in your mouth essentially has to move a different way than in your native language. Another way to learn Spanish fast is look for a Spanish partner, language partner right out the gate when you want to learn Spanish. When you start learning Spanish, don't wait until you feel like you are somewhat fluent before you start talking to people. Do this right away. It doesn't matter what your level is. You can be elementary, basic level. You can just essentially know 2 words. There's always a way to communicate with people, and communication is actually what makes you learn more. Being in situations where you are out of your comfort zone actually make you learn faster. It's kind of like a survival mode in a way. People who are forced to learn languages because of life situations, they learn them either with lessons, without lessons. They have to, because there's no way around communicating if they don't speak the language in that particular situation. So that is why a lot of times, if you are forced to speak a language, and if you are in the country, you rather learn it fast. So look for places where you can find Spanish native speakers. May it be going out to find where native speakers are, like I said, making native speaking friends, Spanish speaking friends. That's what I always did wherever I went to, and I like met a Spanish speaker. I'm like, oh, where are you from? Cool. So, and because I want to keep up my Spanish and always speak Spanish, I made a lot of friends with Spanish speaking people from everywhere basically. So I always speak with them in Spanish, and that's also important that you establish that from the beginning, because I know people have friends or family that are Spanish natives, but they're not necessarily accustomed to speaking with them in Spanish. So it's always harder to switch languages, to start speaking other languages when you're accustomed to speak one language first. So let's say, for example, your husband is Spanish speaking and you've always been speaking English with him, and then all of a sudden you want to speak Spanish with him. That's gonna be a little weird. So that's why it's important when you make new friends, for example, that right out the gate you establish that relationship to be in Spanish. Everything in Spanish, and not in English or whatever your native language is, but in the language you want to learn, and that is in Spanish. So I did the same thing with a Spanish speaking friend I have in France. We all speak French. However, right from the beginning, I always told them, made clear that I want to speak Spanish with you guys and not French, because I want to keep up my Spanish. And that's what we did. And ever since, like, I've known them for years, we always speak Spanish. And it's weird to us now to even switch into French. And that's the importance. You always want to keep it in Spanish. And the last tip I can give you guys is to follow people who speak Spanish, public people who speak Spanish. So you could follow like actors, you could follow influencers, YouTubers, whatever, or whoever you want to follow, you're interested in, authors, whoever is Spanish speaking. Start following those people on social media. Social media has made it easy to learn languages by just following people, just looking at what they do, you know, and they will speak their native language mostly, so you can learn from that. If you always watch a story by someone who speaks Spanish and they always use the same words, you're gonna wonder, okay, what does this mean? And you're gonna go and look this up. So it really helps with everyday conversation, how people speak, what words people use the most, because you have to know that we barely use about, I think, 2% or something of the amount of vocabulary we have in our native language. The rest is essentially just words that are there that are not used. And you only have to pick up a dictionary to see, like, there's a bunch of words that nobody uses. And that goes to say that the words you use are very limited. That's what you have to realize in other languages too. So what you actually have to learn is a limited amount of words. With those words, with those essential words, you can say so many things and describe so many things. So it is important that you focus on that first in the beginning, and then from there you go on, and you will learn so much better and faster and not get as frustrated. So those were the tips. I hope you guys enjoyed them. If you have more tips and tricks, just leave them in the comments down below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.